Hi everyone, and welcome back for another UE4 tutorial series. One of the first series I ever done was a dialogue system, and once I did release it, I got loads of questions from people asking how do I make something that has the player answer a question and have the NPC respond to that question. Well, that inspired me to take another look at the system and redesign it to make it allow for that circumstance where we get the player to answer questions and the NPC to respond. Now, this works very differently from the previous dialogue system, and in fact you might actually prefer this system as it is a lot neater and easier to set up. So, a little demonstration of what happens here. I can walk up to my player here, push E to interact, and I can skip through my dialogue tree and ask a question, yes or no. I'm going to go yes, I'm glad you like the look of it. What's my favourite colour? And I can choose red, for example, here, and it will respond specifically differently to red. Okay, so this is what we'll be making today. So how does this work? Well, this works using the AI behaviour tree and repurposing it as a dialogue tree. And here it is. This is that dialogue that we just saw. And it's pretty simple to add stuff to it and change things around, but it is, I'll walk you right through it before we get into actually making it. So here we've got a dialogue starting, so this is when it actually spawns a dialogue box to start things off. And each of these sequences is a conversation. So here we have different lines of dialogue with a question and selectors at the end to determine what to do with each response. And each response will have a different line of questioning and dialogues. Like so. So it makes it very quick and easy to add lines of dialogue and add questions and different responses and different branching points. You can do all sorts of things. So this is what we'll be making over the course of this series. So let's get beginning, shall we? So to start things off, we need to first of all make the ability for the player to interact with the AI NPC. So I'm going to make a new folder here and call it NPC. Oh. And in here we're going to make some AI. So I'm going to go add new blueprint class and character. So a simple NPC we can open up like so. I'm just going to give it a mesh, and I'm going to go for the default mannequin and just put them into position. Give them an animation class of the third person blueprint, and that'll do it. Okay. So close this. On here we're also going to have another folder for interfaces. And we need to make an interface, an interact interface. Now if you've seen my other tutorials, you know what an interface does, but for those who are uninitiated to them, you go to new blueprint class, add new blueprints, and you'll see in the blueprint interface. And I'm going to name this one interact interface. And what these are a collection of functions that you can give to various actors, and they all share the same functions. Now this adds the ability of very different actors sharing very similar traits, in this case an interaction. So I could use the same thing for items, signposts, goals, so forth. So open it up, and we're going to name this new function interact, and click compile and save it. So to assign our NPC that interact interface, go to the NPC again, open full blueprint editor, and you'll click on class defaults up here, and on the right hand side you'll see, class settings, sorry, click on class settings. On the right hand side then you'll see interfaces, and click add, and you should see your interact interface there as one of the options. Click compile, and that will do for him. Okie dokie. So now we've got that, we now need to be able to tell our player to interact with the NPC. So the way this works is through a line trace, which we'll get to in a moment. But first let's make a HUD for our player. So I'm going to go make a new folder, and this one's going to be called user interface. And in here we're going to go add new user interface widget blueprint. We call it the heads up display and open it up. So the heads up display here I'm going to leave blank for now. We'll come back to that in a moment. Let's just add it to the screen first of all. So to do that I'm going to go into my third person game mode, open through blueprint editor, begin play. We're going to create a widget. I'm going to choose the heads up display. Go and promote that to a variable. And add it to the viewport. So hopefully you've watched the first tutorial series on dialogue systems, so a lot of this I don't have to go over again, but essentially we're just creating a widget, storing it as a reference, and then adding it to the viewport so we can actually see it. Close this and go to our third person character. So on my character I'm going to do, first of all I'm going to get a reference to that HUD so I don't have to keep casting to it. So over here I'm going to do a begin play, and right click, get my game mode. From here cast to my third person game mode, and from there I can access that heads up display variable that we stored that reference in, and here I'm going to promote to variable. Now the benefit of doing this means I don't have to keep doing a cast every time I want to access the heads up display, because now I've got a reference directly to it, I've got the address to it, so to speak. So player HUD, and like so. Righto, so now we've got that, we now need to do the interact check-in. So to do that I'm going to make a function. So new function, I'm going to go call it interact check, and click compile. And this thing's going to be called in two locations. First of all, I'm going to look at the input access move forward, and I'll just put it onto there. Now this means it'll trigger all the time, because move forward is like a tick event, it keeps going all the time. It will either return 1 or 0 based on whether or not you actually are moving. So interact check will always happen, so it's always going to be checking if we have interaction available to us. And also we want to do it with an interact key, so when I interact with the actual NPC, something will happen. So to do that, let's go to edit, project settings, and let's go to input and add a new action mapping. By hitting the little plus arrow and call it interact. I'm going to use my E key on my keyboard and leave it like so. So now if I type in interact, I'll get the action event interact, and now I can do an interact check right at the start of it. So let's go to that interact check function. So as I said, this happens for a trace. Okay, so I'm going to do a line trace or a sphere trace. You can do either. I'm going to do a sphere trace personally. Go sphere trace by channel. I'm going to need a start location, end location, and a radius primarily. Okay, so first of all, let's get the start location. So the start location is going to be the player character's location. So pretty simply, just get actor location. And plug that into the start value there. And next we need to get the rotation or direction the player is facing, because we want to get a certain distance away from the player to check from. So we're going to get the let's do get actor rotation. Now you could do either camera or actor, because in a third person template the camera can move independently from the character, so you can have either one. I'm going to do actor for now, but you can have camera if you wish. So once you've got the rotation, we need to get the forward vector, and that gives you the direction they're facing in. Okay, and then from there we can multiply this vector by a float, and this is the length of how long we want to check for. So this will be the range of the check. So here I'm going to put in like 200. and I want to add that onto my actor location to get our end. Radius, I'm going to change that to 25, and my trace channel I'm going to change to camera, and for purpose of testing I'm going to change the draw debug type to 1 frame. Click compile. Now if I were to play this game, you'll see the sphere trace is popping out of the player. Okay, but if you move the camera around, it's not connected to them. Okay, so if I were to show you a difference of that, if I were using a camera location, so if I go camera, get rotation, and plug that in there instead, it's hard to see because it's facing exactly where the camera is going, but it's actually rotating to match where the camera is facing. If I move quick enough, maybe you can see it. But you can see it when I'm colliding with the floor. You go green, that means that it's interacting with something. Okay, so you can use either, both are fine. Okay, so I'm just going to leave that as is for now to save time. Okay, so after your sphere trace, we'll have an out hit. Okay, and from the out hit we need to store what we are hitting with. Okay, so right click on out hit and choose split struct pin to get all the data from our sphere trace. One of those is the out hit actor. This is the actor that we are hitting with our sphere trace. I want to promote that to a variable. Actually, let's do a branch first. Make sure we've got a blocking hit, and if that's true, we're going to promote that to a variable, a local variable. Let's undo that. Promote to local variable, and interact actor, and I will plug that into true. Okay, so if it's true, the interact actor is going to set to true, set to this this actor that's come out of the hit. We're going to store it as a reference. Or actually, in fact, I should check whether or not it actually has an interface, the interact interface. So before we get into there, just type in interface. You'll see does implement interface. That's one of the options, and that will be branch. Let me just wiggle that around to true. So, oh, and change your interface to choose your interact interface. There we go. Click compile. Okay. So if it's true, interface interact actor will be set to whatever we're hitting if it holds the interact interface. So let's just test that out. I'm going to do a print string, and I'm just going to drag that into there to get a display name. So if I interact with the world, it shouldn't print anything because none of this stuff holds that interact interface. But if I put my NPC in the world, like so, it should now print. There you go. So that bit's working. Okay, we've got that NPC being detected. Let's go back to my third person character. So I'm giving our print string check because we know it works. So the next job is to make it display a notification on the screen. The way we display a notification on the screen is going to be handled all by our heads up display. So open up your heads up display, which is just a blank canvas for now, and go to its graph in the top right. We're going to create a function, so add new function, and we're going to show make it say display message. And this thing's going to hold two inputs. Okay, I'm going to add one of them. It's going to be the actor, and it's going to be a type of actor. Another one is going to be a boolean called show message. Okay, and click compile. Okay, so For the show message, we're going to put it into a boolean, and if it's true, we make it display message. If it's false, we want to remove the message. Okay, so let's first of all create a widget for our notification. So over here, I'm going to make an add new widget, interact message. Okay, so do a basic one. I'm just going to delete the canvas panel because we don't need that. I'm just going to put in a border. Actually, I'm going to put a size box around the border. Right click, wrap with size box, and I'm going to give it a width and height override. Do a height override. Oh, not height override. Minimum. Do minimum. We'll do 300 by 100. Change it to desired so I can see what we're looking at here. Okay, so on the border, you want to select that, and I'm going to change the background of it. So on the appearance, we've got brush and brush color. Change the brush color to whatever you like. Like so. I'm just going to store that up here. If you drag the color, by the way, up here, it will store it as a swatch for later, so you can use it for other UI elements. Saves a bit of time. And I'm going to put some text inside my border, which I'm going to center and center. Okay. Okie dokie. So the text I want to display here, I'm going to go to my graph, make a new variable, and we call it message text. And that's going to be a text value, and you want to turn a little eyeball on. Okay, so we can access it from elsewhere. Default value down at the bottom, I'm going to say press E to interact. Compile that, go back to your designer, and with the text selected, go to where it says content, and you'll see a bind button. Choose that, and you can now choose your message text. So this text will now display whatever that variable is displayed as. Compile this, and we can close it. Okay, so back onto our display message function on our heads-up display. If it's true, we're going to show a message. We want to right-click, create widget, and you want to choose that interact message we just made there. Oh, sorry, you want to go, if we go back to that interact message, go to graph, click on message text, and you'll expose on spawn, compile it, and now you'll be able to access that text here. You can change it to whatever you like. Okay, so on the interact message widget, we do this, and then I'm going to store this as a variable. Yeah, normal variable. Call it message widget. And I want now to add this to the canvas so you can see it on the screen. So go back to your designer, click on your canvas panel, and you will go up to the top right where it says is variable. Tick this, and I'm going to change this to HUD canvas, and back to our graph. So now I can see my HUD canvas as an option in my variables list. I can drag this out, choose get, and then from there I can add a child to it. Add child to canvas. Plug that all in, like so. Now you've added it to the canvas, we want to set some settings of it. So its positioning and its size and things like that. So I'm going to go set size, set auto size, and you want to tick that as true. Then we want to set position, and this one is going to be a bit different. Okay, so to give it an X and Y location, I'm going to get the location of the actor I've got here. So I can go actor, and scroll right down to the bottom, get actor, get location, actor location, and there's a node that you can do and you get type in screen, you'll see project world to screen, and that will take a world position of an actor and give you the screen coordinates of it in a 2D space. So plug that into your canvas in position. You'll need the player controller because it needs to know which viewport it's looking at. So get player controller there and click compile. So this is the most work it's doing. What we now need to do at the start is check whether or not we've actually already got the message up. If we have, we don't want to create another one, or we just create loads of them. So drag your message widget variable out and choose get, right click on it and go convert to validated get. Plug all this in, and if it's not valid, we'll go to the create widget. So if that makes sense, if you don't have it, it's going to create one. If you do have it, it's not going to do nothing, it's just going to go off into nothing. Okay, so what about removing it? So if show message is false, we want to come off this branch here and we want to remove that message widget from the canvas. So drag your message widget out and choose get, and then from here you want to go remove from parent, plug that into false, drag the message widget out again and choose set, and you'll leave it as blank. Okay, click compile, and let's go back to our third person character. So our third person character has this interact check going on, and once we've set the variable for interact actor, we now need to call that heads up display up. Now I've already got the heads up display HUD here. I can drag this out and choose get, and then from there I should be able to just call my display message function. I can play that there. Choose show message. Interact actor will go into actor. Choose compile, and let's see if this works. There you go. So it won't go away yet, we haven't done that bit, but there you go, it pops up on the screen. So go back to your player character, and what we need to do is do the same thing again. Copy and paste that display message out like so. The target will be the player's HUD, and what we want to do is turn off show message, and that will now hide it when we connect this up to this false here and also this false here. So now if I'm not looking at anything with an interact message, it will disappear. And there you go. So there's the interact message. We now need to make it when we push E key to display our dialog box. So this has been quite a long video. Hopefully the next one will be a bit shorter. I just wanted to get this one out of the way so we can focus on the actual dialog system itself in the next few episodes. So thanks very much for watching. If you have any comments or questions you want to know about the system, please leave them below in the comment box and I'll get back to them if I can. If you want to support me and see the next episode right now, head over to patreon.com/Ryan Laley. Big shout out and thank you to Alex, who's been supporting me so far massively this past month. Thank you very much, and thank you to all my patrons really. Thank you for everyone for supporting me. I couldn't be doing this without you guys. So thanks very much, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye. Whoop! Hold up. We had an error before I crashed. Not crashed. It just came up with a load of warning messages. It's because this thing may not exist all the time. So you just want to right click on that and choose that to validate get, and plug that into it's valid there and false there, and that'll solve that warning issue you would have had if you were following along with me just then. So let's just check that. No warning messages. Excellent. Anyway, cheers. See you guys next time. Bye bye.